It's possibly DreamWorks Studios' most iconic animated film series, as well as the source of some of the most terrifying memes in internet history. Shrek is without a doubt the best anti-fairy tale film ever made.
Oh, no, dead broad off the table!
Sorry, hoodwinked. With 4 main films and a spin-off, Shrek has practically built itself a Shrek cinematic universe. Hilarious, crass, and subversive, Shrek is filled with bizarre takes on classic fairy tale staples.
Oh, no.
But even in our swampified tale, where our main character makes a mud jacuzzi out of his farts, some characters are undeniably good, and others are pure evil. So who takes the cake, or mud pie, for good? And who is destined to burn in the dungeons of the Dragon's Keep as most evil?
The keeper of the keep! Dragon!
Stick around and find out. I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and this is Shrek Good to Evil.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
But before we get started, let's get this out of the way. Across all 4 main Shrek movies, there is a huge cast of heroes and villains. To keep this focused on fan favorites, we'll stick mainly to Shrek and Shrek 2, or as Donkey calls it, Donkey Reloaded. Some folks from the 3rd and 4th movie will pop up, but don't go complaining when your favorite drunkie doesn't make the cut. Or do, in the comments section. Starting out the list as usual with the most good, we have Queen Lillian. Mother of Fiona, you know that the bar is set pretty low when the best character is the woman who locked her daughter in a dragon-guarded tower.
I don't trust that woman, Harald. This may be our last hope.
But in all fairness, she was doing what she hoped would break her daughter's curse, which was to set her up to be rescued by a prince. No stranger to curses on her family, her husband Harald was a frog, and she sticks by his side even after he transforms. Lillian wants what is best for her family. She's a peacemaker trying to bridge the divide between her husband, daughter, and son-in-law Shrek, an ogre.
It's so nice to have the family together for dinner.
It turns out her desire to save her family can manifest itself in some seriously strong headbutting too, which is great in a pinch.
You're more that man today than you ever were. Warts and all.
Truly, you have a kind-hearted, open-minded queen who always puts family first. Close on her heels is her nephew Arthur. Heir to the throne of Far, Far Away, Arthur is a kind-hearted, if weak teenager who is shockingly mentored by Shrek in order to become a king. A bit spineless at the outset, he eventually discovers inner strength and is able to use the lessons learned from Shrek and Merlin to convince the bad guy followers of Charming to abandon their fight. A bit of a bland character and admittedly a bit of a bland title in the series, Arthur still lands high on our good list. Coming in 3rd, we have Mongo, the gigantic gingerbread man, a living, delicious cookie machine of war built by Gingy and the Muffin Man.
Do you still know the Muffin Man? Well, sure, he's down on Drury Lane.
Mongo was built to lay siege to a castle. It may seem crazy to put a monstrous machine of war so high on our list, but he didn't choose to go to war. He was forced into it. He was baked that way. His entire life was a selfless, all-out assault on guards who he didn't know to save the marriage of Shrek and Fiona, people he didn't know, in order to save the future of a kingdom that he had no knowledge of. He gave his life to save his creator, and his last words were, "Be good." To be honest, Mongo's life was nothing short of a tragedy. Up next, we have Donkey, the overly talkative, waffle-making, dragon-loving comic relief to Shrek's sour demeanor.
You might have seen a housefly, maybe even a superfly, but I bet you ain't never seen a donkey fly.
Donkey is the sidekick who never quits. He's there when Shrek has to take on a legion of soldiers in the wrestling ring. He's there to woo the fearsome dragon who wants to kill Shrek.
You're a girl dragon. Oh, sure. I mean, of course you're a girl dragon.
He's there to check Shrek's moping mentality and help him save the woman he loves. He's there all the time. He can't leave Shrek alone for a moment. His same good quality, always there to help, becomes his #1 bad quality, never leaving Shrek alone.
I like that boulder. That is a nice boulder.
He's an annoyer. He sings, he hums, he blabs, he cries, he pops his lips for hours in a cramped onion carriage ride. He has no off switch. Still, his loyalty, sense of caring, and ability to let insults from his friends roll off his little donkey shoulders makes him a good guy. In fact, a great guy and an amazing friend.
Really?
Really.
Finally, we get to Shrek, the hero of the series. I know 5th feels low for the main character, but this is Shrek, the topsy-turvy fairy tale. So weird morality is par the course. Shrek is an ogre who, at the outset of the series, loves to live alone and unbothered in his swamp. He's the classic bachelor, gross and encumbered. When fairy tale creatures show up uninvited on his land, he goes on a quest to return them to their proper homes.
I'm gonna see this guy Farquaad right now and get you all off my land and back where you came from.
In order to only get some peace and quiet for himself, he literally rescues a princess from a dragon just to be left alone. You really have to appreciate the comedy in Shrek besting a dragon and rescuing a princess.
Very well, ogre. The deed to your swamp cleared out as agreed. Take it and go.
Not for love, not for honor, but to be left the hell alone. However, as the story unfolds, it becomes clear he wants to be alone because everyone judges Shrek before they get to know him. His dad tried to eat him.
Doesn't that bother you?
Nope.
Something Donkey shows him isn't always the case. With the help of a newfound friend, Shrek is able to overcome his tendency to wall himself off and open himself up to love. In the sequels, Shrek continues to grow, keeping his love of Fiona and friendship with Donkey as his guiding lights. He's even willing to change himself into a non-ogre for Fiona's love, something she rejects, finally getting him to understand you can be gross and good all at once. Shrek may have a pretty unappealing personality at first, but a lot of it is because of how society treats him.
Back, please! Back! I warn you!
And once he learns that positivity exists in the world, he too tries and succeeds at changing for the better. Just below Shrek is his wife, Princess Fiona. A bit spoiled early on.
Well, I'm sorry, but your job is not my problem.
Fiona is a human princess by day and an ogress by night, until she marries Shrek, breaks the curse, and takes true love's form as an ogre. Not above a little trickery to get some alone time with Shrek, see the Blue Flowers, Red Thorns quest, and definitely not above fighting dirty to defend herself or her friends. Fiona is a combination of her inner desire to be seen as a lovely princess and her lived reality of having to fend for herself.
Thanks.
She's as nasty as you are.
When her dream comes in conflict with her reality, it often manifests itself as cruelty.
It's not like it has feelings.
No, you're right. It doesn't.
Like when she calls Shrek unfeeling when she leaves him for Farquaad, but it's rooted in deep insecurity. Will people love her for who she is? When she realizes that she can have a love that accepts her, ogress and all, she certainly drops a lot of her nastiness, though she retains a bit of that pompous princess upbringing in the sequels. Still, she's kind-hearted and would do anything for her husband, who would in turn do anything for her. Next, we're gonna go ahead and throw in the three little pigs and the big bad wolf. Now, I know the big bad wolf has bad in his name, but we don't really see anything wrong with anything that he does. In fact, he, along with the piggies, are loyal to Shrek and even help him assault the kingdom and win back Fiona at the end of Shrek 2. So we're definitely dealing with good characters. Next is Gingy. The mini gingerbread man. We meet Gingy when he's being tortured by Lord Farquaad. He's a good soul, helps rescue Shrek in the sequels, and organizes the Great Siege on the castle. So why does he place lower on the list? He's a mad cookie scientist, that's why. He creates a giant gingerbread Frankenstein monster and forces him to siege a castle, killing the poor guy in the process. Your tears are not enough, Gingy, you gingerbread warmonger. Eat me! Moving on to Puss in Boots.
Fear me.
The most feared and fluffy assassin in the kingdom of Far Far Away, initially hired by King Harald to kill Shrek. Major evil point. Puss turns turncoat, or turns tail, once he's subdued by Donkey and Shrek, and becomes a loyal sidekick.
On my honor, I am obliged to accompany you until you have saved your life but you have spared me mine.
While perhaps being foiled in his mission to assassinate isn't the best reason to turn good, Puss does see the light and proves his loyalty in battle, helping Shrek rescue Fiona.
Today, I repay my debt.
Still, the guy was going to kill Shrek for a bag of gold coins, but you can't stay mad at the little guy for long. Coming up next is Dragon. Dragon is a bit of a tricky character to rank. She's got a heart of gold, but also a fiery rage that literally burns people to a crisp. She eats people. She killed dozens of knights trying to rescue the princess, but she's a dragon and they attacked her. She's supposed to guard Fiona from intruders, it's her job. She is a bit forward when it comes to romance.
Unwanted physical contact.
Donkey called it unwanted physical contact, but maybe she was just ahead of the love curve, as she and Donkey ultimately became a couple and had kids. Plus, she saves the day at the end of the first movie, bringing Shrek and Donkey to Farquaad's palace to stop the wedding. To top it all off, she uses her dragon powers for good, eating Farquaad and stopping his evil rule once and for all. A bit of an oddball for our next pick, we have the magic mirror. Neither good nor evil.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, is this not the most perfect kingdom of them all?
The magic mirror reveals only the truth.
Well, technically you're not a king.
And he's only in it for self-survival.
Thelonious.
Captured by Farquaad and threatened with destruction, 7 years of bad luck be damned, the magic mirror immediately shows Farquaad his ticket to royalty.
It's time for you to meet today's eligible bachelorettes.
Marrying a princess. He then shows him how to find Princess Fiona, and unfortunately is forced to replay the image of Fiona for a disrobed Farquaad over and over again.
Again. Show me again.
Just look at that wince. At least he knows Farquaad is vile and understands he is complicit in this man's evil plan. Moving on to Pinocchio. Even though he's a member of the rescue team in Shrek 2, Pinocchio is a compulsive liar. Where the mirror shows only truth, Pinocchio brings only deception. At least Donkey, Shrek, and Gingy are able to use this to help get rescued when Pinocchio lies about not wearing ladies' underwear, WTF.
I'm wearing ladies' underwear.
To grow his nose so Gingy can reach and unshackle our heroes.
It's a thong!
Okay, we have to throw in Thelonious next. The Executioner. Not bad per se. Thelonious is Farquaad's henchman, whose defining trait is his dim-wittedness. He does threaten the magic mirror, but abandons Farquaad when Fiona and Shrek kiss, writing "Aw" in giant crayon on the audience cue card. Truthfully, a big softie who's likely too dumb to realize he was employed by the evil side. We gotta throw in Monsieur Hood, if only for his awesome musical number. Our inexplicably French thief who can't help but burst into song, Monsieur Hood isn't really evil, but misguided. He tries to rescue Fiona, though she clearly needs no rescuing, and then attempts to murder Shrek. Add him to that long-growing list. He's a bit of a creep, and substitutes in the family-friendly rhyme in his songs, where the dirty phrase was intended.
What he's basically saying is he likes to get paid.
He likes to get paid. Us too, Monsieur Hood. Us too. But I suppose he means well. He's just got a hell of an ego. Personally, I'm curious if the way he was portrayed in Shrek is similar to the original Robin Hood story. I guess I'll have to listen to it on Audible, which we're lucky enough to have as our sponsor. Audible's content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original shows, news, comedy, and more. In fact, a lot of the original fairy tale stories featured in Shrek are available. If you'd like to help support the channel, use our link in the description for a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial. Sign up at audibletrial.com/wickedbinge. We love cartoons and movies, but we also love binging audiobooks on Audible. And remember, signing up for a free trial helps support the creation of our content. Now, moving on, we have King Harald. So far away morally from Queen Lillian, it's amazing they stayed married. Harald, too, wants what is best for his daughter, but by God is he way more selfish and nefarious in his actions. Cruel to Shrek from the get-go, it turns out that he had cut a deal with Fairy Godmother. In exchange for helping change himself from a frog to a human, he had to promise his daughter's hand in marriage to Prince Charming.
So Fiona and Charming will be together.
yes.
Threatened to be turned back into a frog, Harald decides to have Shrek executed. Not good.
I hope I'm not interrupting, but I'm told you're the one to talk to about an ogre.
Then he goes along with a plan to deceive his own daughter into thinking Prince Charming is Shrek, and get her to drink a love potion that will make her fall in love with the first person she kisses. Again, not good. He does eventually redeem himself by abandoning Fairy Godmother's plan, drinking the potion himself, and sacrificing himself to save Shrek from Fairy Godmother. However, he still ordered the murder of his son-in-law, and a last-minute change of heart can't undo all that damage. Last of the minor baddies, we have the old woman, the one who tries to sell Donkey for 10 shillings just because he can talk. Greedy, a liar, and abusive.
Oh, shut up!
She's also the first time I ever heard damn in a kids movie.
I can talk. I'd love to talk. I'm not talking this damn thing I ever saw.
Scandalous. But in all seriousness, who treats an animal like that? Just terrible. Okay, time for the real bad guys. The evil ones. Least evil of the evils, Jaime Lannister. Prince Charming. The spoiled, handsome son of Fairy Godmother, Charming will stop at nothing to rule the kingdom, like most evil ones. The difference being that he's not very good at it, and he's not very intimidating.
I will smite him where he stands. He will rue the very day he stole my kingdom from me!
He relies on the brains and magic of his mummy to put himself on the throne. Each of his steps in Shrek 2 are planned by Fairy Godmother. He's creepy more than evil. See how he twirls the rose around in his mouth? In Shrek the Third, he plays a bit more of a leading villain role, but it is equally pathetic, having been relegated to an actor in dinner theater.
Onward, Chauncey! To the highest room of the tallest tower!
No knock on dinner theater, but it's no kingdom. Plus, his revenge plan entails using villains to stage a coup and then force Shrek to act as the villain in yet another theatrical performance, this time for the whole kingdom. Pretty flimsy revenge plan, and it falls apart on top of him, literally. Up next is Rumpelstiltskin. Our first and last entry from Shrek Forever After, crafty Rumple tricks Shrek into giving up his date of birth, which through plot magic allows Rumple to rule far, far away.
You took the day I was born. No, Shrek. You gave it to me.
The less said about Shrek Forever After, the better, so let's just leave it at Shrek uses his selflessness to foil Rumple's evil plans. The most evil characters in the Shrek cinematic universe. In second place, Fairy Godmother. Devious, calculating, and even seductive at times, Fairy Godmother makes it her business to give clients their own happy ever after, for a price.
May all your endings be happy and well, you know the rest.
She corrals Harald into trying to murder Shrek and more or less roofie his daughter.
Use your imagination.
Fairy Godmother is truly power hungry and will stop at nothing to gain control.
I beg to differ. I do it all the time.
Even willing to kill or leverage turning someone into a frog.
I told you, ogres don't live happily ever after!
Plus, she doesn't even give her workers dental.
That's okay, buddy. We're from the Union.
The only reason that she doesn't clock in at number 1 is because she had the best cover of holding out for a hero that has ever graced the screen. Chills.
Hit it!
Our number 1 most evil is, no surprise, Lord Farquaad. Legend has it that he was modeled after Jeffrey Katzenberg's old boss, Michael Eisner, and he certainly satirizes the excesses of the Disney parks in his small world-ified Duloc. Plus, his name sounds an awful lot like Farquaad, and don't tell me that's an accident. So what makes Farquaad such a Farquaad? He expels all the fairy tale creatures from his domain.
He huffed and he puffed and he signed an eviction notice.
He tortures a gingerbread man.
Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man!
He tries to kill Shrek.
Knights, new plan! The one who kills the ogre will be named champion!
More than once, then forces Shrek to go on a quest to fetch Fiona for him to marry.
Go on this quest for me, and I'll give you your swamp back.
I mean, just by displacing all of the fairy tale characters from their homes, he's essentially creating a refugee crisis and discriminating against an entire group of characters. Farquaad does at least uphold his promise to rid Shrek's swamp of fairy tale creatures.
Very well, ogre. The deed to your swamp cleared out as agreed. Take it and go.
But that is the extent of his kindness. At his wedding, when he discovers that Fiona is an ogre, he decides to lock her up in a dungeon, using her royal blood as a way to become a king.
I'll have you locked back in that tower for the rest of your days!
After which he'll discard her forever.
This marriage is binding, and that makes me king! See? See?
That is pretty wildly dark and sounds like something a character on Game of Thrones would do. This is his MO. He uses people. However, unlike Fairy Godmother, he's forced to rely on others to do his bidding for him. He can't commit his deeds himself. Without their assent, he is powerless. All that takes to end him is a donkey on the edge with one hungry dragon. And that's our ranking. Agree or disagree with us, let us know in the comment section below. Remember to hit the notification bell and also binge our Good to Evil playlist where we break down the morality spectrum of your favorite cartoons and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.